Fear is the enemy.
Legacy Music Box.
Whatever it is that you're going for, man, go hard. Hold on, never give up. You gotta have that mentality, man. I put in the work, I spent a lot of time on the waiting list. Never complained, I ain't never said shit. Shoot my shot, no fear if I miss. Imagine you chasing a dream that you love, only to find out it wasn't enough. You fall on your face, but you get right back up. And you fall back again, but you get right back up, yeah. That's the way that it's always been. Don't nobody care about the grind but you. Nobody putting in the time but you. Make up your mind who you wanna be. I know who I am, know what I want. Live by 2 words, mama mentality. And that's word to my mom, word to my pops, word to my little bro. They said make your mistakes, but don't make excuses on why you can't live and learn. On a couple occasions I damn near went broke. I'm chasing this music thing, and I ran out of hope. I threw in the towel, said fuck the hole in the street. I kept on writing and touring. I picked up a job cause I knew it was important. The money I made I would stash it away just to fund my recordings. And I didn't wanna stop cause I didn't know how. I would lay in my room by myself late at night and I finally figured it out. I just wanna be the best version of me, make all the music that I wanna make. I don't care what nobody gon' say. You miss all of the shots you don't take. And the answer is no, if you don't ask. If it gets hard, this too shall pass. God is my witness and he got the plan. He got the plan. I put in the work, I spent a lot of time on the waiting list. Never complained, I ain't never said shit. Shoot my shot, no fear if I miss. Imagine you chasing a dream that you love, only to find out it wasn't enough. You fall on your face, but you get right back up. And you fall back again, but you get right back up, yeah. That's the way that it's always been. Don't nobody care about the grind but you. Nobody putting in the time but you. Make up your mind who you wanna be. I know who I am, know what I want. Live by 2 words, mama mentality. Yeah. Remember, man, you only in competition with yourself. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the process. Pleasure and pain. R.I.P. the greatest. 0824.
Check 1 2, check 1 2. What's going on, everybody? It's your good buddy DH in the building. We are here again for another mental health check. It's February. Welcome to Black History Month is really what February is all about. And a shout out to all my people out there that are celebrating. We'll get into that later on in the episode. But today we're talking about mental health, which is extremely important in Black, white, whatever race you are in everyone's life. And we wanted to discuss that today because, January was a month of highs and lows. Yesterday was a day of highs and lows. So we want to see where everybody's at, do a mental health check with all of you guys out there. Hopefully you guys are listening and ready to share your stories and your thoughts with us as we share our thoughts with you guys. So thank you guys for being here. First off, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, iShota.com. Thank you so much for being a part of this whole thing that we are doing. And we have been doing for a good 2 years now. Thank you for continued support. If you guys are looking for anything locally, as far as photography, videography, or a guy that just knows his knowledge when it comes to anything like what I'm doing now, hit up iShota.com. My guy Marvin Patterson will get you done, get you all the information you need, and take care of you. Just hit up iShota.com. Tell them I sent you. Next, we want to go Icon ENT. If you're locally in the area and looking for transportation to any events that are going on in the area, Valentine's Day right around the corner. If you guys want to go in style, you guys don't want to drive, but you want to turn up and you want somebody to get you there in style, hit up Icon ENT for they got the party buses on lock. They have about 4 or 5 of them that they're working on. They got 3 for sure locked in, and they're looking on expanding their inventory. So hit them up if you guys are looking for transportation in style. Icon ENT. Last but not least, let me go ahead and get a shout out to my girl Zakia Sita of the Chaya movement. Thank you so much, Zakia, for continuing to do amazing work in our community. She is taking everyone's rags that they have and she is flipping them and turning them into apparel that can be reworn and not paying. You don't have to pay any crazy price for the stuff that she is creating. So if you want more information about what she's doing, hit up the Chaya movement or chayafashion.com to get more information about what Zakia is up to in our community. Also, let me not forget to give a shout out to our girl Makita Evans, our very new, very new person sponsor that's going to be a part of this event this year. She is opening up her establishment, Intentions Juice and Smoothies, locally in the area on 56 in South Tacoma Way. If you guys have not checked her out, make sure you guys go and see her. Tell her I sent you. We will be doing a live event there every month, once a month, in her actual establishment. So I'm really excited for that, partnership with her. So thank you again to all of my sponsors. But without further ado, I'm going to bring in the man that most of you guys already know, and if you don't, you're going to get to know him real soon. Mr. Ricky Mena is in the building, and we're going to be talking mental health today.
Yo.
Yo. Hey, your volume is a little low. Can you turn it up just a little, or is it just right there? I can barely hear you.
Let me see. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. I just noticed it when you jumped on.
Is it still low?
Little bit, but hey, I can hear you. I just was saying, in case anybody out there is not able to hear you, we're trying to turn you up just a tad bit, but you sound fine. I can still hear you perfectly.
I could talk a little louder if you need me to.
No, you good. You good. So what's going on, fam? How you doing today?
I'm doing good today. I was looking forward to coming on here.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we got some stuff that we really wanted to share today, and hopes that we can, get in contact with some people and give them some information or some insight and direction on mental health and mental illness, and also PTSD was what we're going to be focusing on today. So, let's talk about before we get into PTSD. Let's talk about our weeks. How was your week?
if I jumped on here and said, "Oh, everything was good," and then I wouldn't really be keeping it real to keeping it real to the what we go through. You know what I mean? Regardless of who we are with mental illness, and so it's been a real rough week. I can't even lie. I got back issues and stuff. A previous back injury, had a surgery a long time ago, but it's creeping back into my life again in a big way. So that definitely affects you mentally because you can't do anything that you want to do physically, which is keeping your feet moving physically is important.
Right.
But outside of that, 2 weeks ago I started college. You know what I mean? And when I say started college, I started college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like. Going after my associate's degree and then bachelor's and then master's. So I just decided to do it, man, because I didn't want to be like 6 years from now going, you know what? I should have did that 6 years ago,
Right. Absolutely.
You
know what? Before you get deep into it, I just want to give you kudos, man. Like it takes a lot to, say, you know what? I've been doing well, out without any degrees or anything under my belt, and I feel like I need more. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this step and get back into school and educate and get this education. You know, it takes a lot, and I feel you on that. So I'm proud of you, man. That's pretty tight, and I'm excited for what's to come. You know, education is an
Yeah.
amazing thing, and all it can do is help you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's just been tough, it's definitely hard. It's a hard adjustment because when I was in high school, a long time ago,
Yeah,
I didn't like school. I was like one of those people that likes to learn outside in the real world and more hands-on stuff. And
yeah,
right now what I'm experiencing is like a professor who is like talking at this, like, his vocabulary level is way up there and so is mine, but I don't
mm,
really talk like that all the time.
yeah,
So it's just an adjustment, you know
yeah,
and
for sure.
how it relates to mental illness, and as far as like why my week was bad because of that, although I am starting something good, is that any change is difficult.
Right,
You know,
absolutely.
yeah. And so, especially like with mental illness too, like when things are expected of you, you got to
Mm,
turn in homework, you have deadlines, all those things could be really hard. You know, even for someone like myself I'm an accomplished person. I've done a lot. I can keep myself
yeah,
on deadlines and this and that, but I work at my own speed. That helps me with mental illness. So
absolutely.
anyway, that's how my week was. Just a lot of that. There's been some good times too. But yeah,
And I'm not gonna get on me yet since you've already opened up the floor. I'm gonna go ahead and focus on you for a quick minute. But like one of the things that when we decided to do this, one of the things that I wanted uh, to hold myself accountable for is staying in contact with you and seeing how you're doing periodically throughout the month. And there was a couple times where I had shot a message out to you, and I could tell something even by not seeing you and us just talking. I could tell something was going on, and
hmm,
you was telling me about the suit and everything going on with the suit and how important that
yeah,
is, and the timing and when it's coming and your back issues, and like
yeah,
it's been a month for you. I could totally feel it, the whole
yeah.
time.
It's been a couple months, man. To be honest, like, and there's some, that's what I was telling my wife the other day. It's like life, whether you're battling mental illness or not, it's not like life chooses, hey, to attack people with mental illness. It's like there's always going to be something.
Yeah. Yes.
And I feel like when you're battling, like, this last month or 2 months, I've been battling pretty hard because there's been like more things, like, kind of seems like they're coming out the woodworks,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
that are kind of out of the ordinary. It
Yeah.
kind of is easy to just be like, I'm the victim. Like, you know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like, hey, why is this happening to me? Why me?
Right.
Um, it's real easy to get in that mode. And I don't think it's necessarily because of like there is so much happening and I'm being like targeted by the universe or the devil or God to be strong or whatever. I think it's just when you have mental illness, you start focusing only on the negative, you overlook the positives, and
Mm.
you kind of start focusing on the negatives no matter how small, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
you start building this little mountain, and it's like this mountain that kind of set before you. And what's really crazy about like dealing with things mentally is that even if you're beyond one of the things that you had to solve, or an obstacle the universe threw at you,
Hmm.
even if you're beyond it, you passed it, you're over and done with it, you mentally, you're kind of like, you still put it in that pile in front of you as something that's you had to go through,
Right. Absolutely.
and using it as an excuse to be like, oh, I'm tired because of that, and this mountain, now I got another mountain that's built, you it's just a treacherous path,
Right. Right.
um and there was this song that I used to listen to all the time, like
Yeah.
right before I started battling mental illness. And I think it's very interesting that I connected to this song.
Hmm.
Um, and one of the lines in it is, "The devil's in the details."
Mm.
And
Interesting.
man, I didn't understand that. Like, I understood it from a songwriter's point of view, But to understand it from a real life experience, mental
Yeah.
illness is looking at things in detail.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's
Absolutely.
what it is. It's focusing on that negative, you know. So yeah, man, this
Absolutely.
last 2 months has been I mean, I I often ask like how, come on, God, like how much stronger can I be?
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
you trying to
Yeah.
God, you know?
I think it's interesting, man, when you say it's focusing on the details. I mean, and like not necessarily the positive details is it's I mean, because there's always going to be details. Some of them are going to be great details, some of them are going to be not so great details. I think it's just more focuses on the not so great details
Yep.
of the situation, because there's details in everything.
Yeah.
Everything that if we go through. I mean,
Yeah.
like for example,
Mhm.
like I last month my focus was relationships. Remember that was my mental illness. I was like really overwhelmed by the fact that I was in these relationships with multiple women last year, and all of them I tried to be the best version of myself that I could be, and it just didn't work. And it felt like I was doing something wrong. Well, I'm not really dealing with that now. This month, it's totally something different. Now
Yeah.
it's, my back is giving me
Yeah.
issues. I was like, man, me and Ricky was talking about this last month. And then all of a sudden, halfway through the month, oh, snap, something's going on with my back. And now I'm having the back issues. And, it's like, I've never really had to deal with anything except for, once I dislocated my knee and that was about it. I'm usually a healthy as a horse.
Yeah.
I mean, I get checked up and all that stuff and never had to really worry about anything. And now it's like my back is on fire. Like literally it just started tingling right now. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And it's like, I've never dealt with it, and so I'm not really sure how to deal with it other than to, I listen to a lot of people and what people tell me to do, and so I went and seen a chiropractor, which is just rare for me. I went and got adjustments, because I got adjustment, and so I got this 2 month pass to go and see this guy, and get adjusted. But after the adjustment, my back was still hurting. I thought they was gonna fix me, but
Yeah.
no, I'm still in pain. So I'm just a little confused, and my mental has been acting real funny. I'm like really worried if it could be something else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I've been stressing a little bit about that, and
Yeah.
obviously, relationships is always an issue, but at the same time, like I've really been trying to figure out ways of dealing with it because running was always one of the biggest things that I did when it came to dealing with mental illness, and singing obviously is another thing. I love to karaoke, and so I do that a lot. Um, but I think for this month, I've been trying to really push towards doing more reading. I don't know how big you are on reading when you want to be educated about what's going on. Like, but for me, like somebody had mentioned this book from Michael Todd called Relationship Goals. So I went and got it. And to me, it's like, I don't know if anyone out there is going through any type of relationship issues. I have a friend that literally hit me up 2 days ago about them and their ex and their 1 year anniversary. And she caught him cheating. And now they're broken up and they got a kid together. And she's just going through a lot of stuff. I'm not sure if she's watching, even if she's not watching. If you are out there and you want to get a good read by someone that is doing amazing work, in the world today. Michael Todd, look him up. The book's called Relationship Goals. I actually bought this book when I was in Phoenix, and an amazing read. So definitely get into that if you're going through that relationship issue, mental illness with your relationship status. But I don't know what is one of the things that you usually do when you're going through your mental illness issues, bro?
Yeah. It's hard because if we're pairing that with like a back problem or something like that, it changes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it's two
yeah,
different wavelengths.
yeah. Well, because I run too. Like one of the things keeping busy. Like I love running.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
And I didn't really love running until until I started battling mental illness. Honestly, you to put your headphones on and you
Yeah,
just go.
just
And
go.
you get that natural like runner's high, you know what I mean? And you start feeling good about
Absolutely,
yourself. And you get home and you stay on track, when you go running.
for sure.
Um, so if anyone's out there listening and you're physically good enough to run or go on a walk, I would highly suggest that.
Yeah,
Getting outside, or going to the gym, even if you go by yourself, just being around people is a good idea.
absolutely.
If you get that through church, then go to church and that through fellowship and that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
and all those things. But outside of that, I've realized like my eating habits, um, eating and drinking. Like if I start drinking, like I don't really drink sodas a lot, but if I start drinking like energy drink or sodas more consistently,
yeah.
then I realized that I'm more consistently bad mentally. Um,
Hmm.
and here's what's
Hmm.
crazy. Like, I don't know if anyone's listening out there or if you yourself are like, I was addicted to Sour Patch Kids, bro. Like,
Oh my gosh, me too.
dude. So let me tell you about Sour Patch Kids and mental illness, bro. Because I would eat like a bag of Sour Patch Kid, like I'll smash them. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
if I'm
yeah,
watching a movie, they're done in like not even halfway through the movie, bro.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I'm one of those people that if I'm in front of TV snacking, it's family size bag of chips is not for the family, it's for me. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like
right.
so Sour Patch Kids, I love Sour Patch Kids, but I realized that after I ate them, I'll do it once a week on Sundays. I'll do it once a week. I eat a bag of Sour Patch Kids just one time a week. And after I eat it, I like that night, I'd feel like in a fog almost. And then
Yeah.
the Monday would be my Mondays would on almost on point, just consistently be bad.
Hmm.
And so I
Interesting.
was like, what the hell's going on? So I started doing research about the Sour Patch Kids, and obviously added sugar is bad and all this stuff. Fermented
Mhm.
sugar's kind of not that great. You can get natural sugar; it's still good for you. But I started doing more research, and there's red dye 40 in Sour Patch Kids, in the red Sour Patch Kid. Like the little red ones.
Mhm.
So what I did was just as an experiment with myself, I started giving the red ones to my wife.
Oh,
So she got all the red ones, and I ate all the other colors.
okay.
And now I don't have any issues. Like the red dye
Hmm.
40 is basically notorious if you do research on Google. And it's not one of those conspiracy things. It's literally been studied.
Mhm.
Red dye 40 is as an ingredient in food or candy or whatever or drinks is something that those with mental illness should truly stay away from.
Interesting.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, so try it out if you like candy and
I do love Sour Patch Kids too.
throw
Ooh,
out the red ones, bro. I'm telling you,
those always used
so,
to be my favorite too.
yeah, my favorite is the yellow and green.
Yeah.
So just because they're more like I feel like they're more sour, but yeah, like your diet, what you're drinking is part of that. Cause like I
Mhm.
think we can take in a lot more sugar because we're drinking. It's like it takes longer to get full from drinking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, so listening to good music that like uplifts you is important. Limiting your TV time or your social media time. What's funny is I got back into college. Like I said, I'm taking this sociology class, and
Mhm.
so I had to write this thing. My last assignment was to write like, what do I think that sociologists should study? And sociology, as you probably already know, is the study of human society, humans behavior in
Yeah.
society. And
Mhm.
so social media, my question was that I posed in this assignment was well, not posed, my theory was that social media negatively affects mental health, especially when you're battling mental illness. And so I had to support that with like with evidence
facts
and
and
yeah. Uh,
statistics and
yeah, and so how would I go about doing that and this and that? And so there's actually been studies that, social media use can hurt you mentally if you start using it like habitually or like too much.
yeah,
And obviously too much would be different for everybody, but what is too much? And so, it's really hard. Like, this mental illness thing, I was just thinking, I don't even know why this thought popped in my head this morning, but it's not a one size fits all as far as
right.
like what is going to work for us. And I think that's what it's very complex. It's a complex issue so much that I think that's why um, so many people, unfortunately, in their lives. It's because right now in the mental health world of like when I say mental health world, I'm saying like the care, the treatment, people who are responsible for that, um, like therapists, psychiatrists,
Hmm.
doctors, what have you. There's a blueprint that they follow, kind of. You know what I mean? Okay, you have these
Hmm.
symptoms. I'm going to go to the DSM-5. So the DSM-5 is like I think we mentioned it last time, is the handbook where all
Yeah,
the recognized mental illnesses are sitting in this thick handbook.
right,
And
right.
they look in that. Literally, they'll look in that. They'll take you what your symptoms and look in that, and they'll say, "This is probably what you're dealing with. So let's subscribe this medication, this treatment
Yeah.
plan." And so, I think that there just has to be more research done, and they're doing it, but it's just hard, and because it's going to take years and years to get further and further. And so it's not a one size fit all. So if there's something that you're doing that you notice that is good for you, write it
Hmm.
down. Um,
Yeah.
keeping notes of how you feel after you eat something, after you do something, like whether it's good or bad, write it down, because then after a month you'll look at it and you'll be able to say, like, oh, wow, okay, this is consistent right here. It's like putting
Hmm.
evidence together for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, for
And
sure.
yeah, and being able to like basically like put your own behavior under a microscope, and then being able to like micromanage yourself, and then exercise some discipline in a lot of areas, because all of us have bad habits, man. Like,
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, all of
Absolutely.
us do. Like my bad habit obviously is Sour Patch Kids, a bag of chips is hard to say no, and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
energy drinks. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
so I try to do
Energy
those
drinks.
things on Sundays. So today's my day. You know,
Yeah.
So, you try to limit yourself, and then during the week, get exercise, get out and do stuff. But like I said, what works for me might not work for you.
Right.
But have fun with figuring yourself out. Try to have fun.
Let, so let me ask you a question, man. And I didn't pose this during our conversation earlier, but can you get mental illness from race?
You mean like, can it be? What do you mean by that? Like more specifically, like is it
Like,
hereditary or type of
I
thing,
mean, for example, my
or a
kids
group
are
of
all
people?
mixed. My kids are all mixed, black and white.
Hmm.
And some, my oldest daughters, they are black power to the day they die.
Hmm.
Um, my middle child could care less. She likes everybody,
Yeah.
but my younger ones haven't really been affected yet with the whole race card. But do you think, like, for example, this month is Black History Month,
Mm-hmm.
but some people don't necessarily look at them as black children because they're mixed.
Mm.
Could that be something that could create a mental illness?
I think that it definitely, so when you're not recognized for what you are, what you've been born as, and like not just recognized but respected. You know what I mean? Getting the normal respect that like you would expect people to have in 2023. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I won't go as far as saying it can give you a mental illness, but I think what it does do is creates a complex.
Gotcha.
Right. And
Hmm.
I'm not, look, I don't know anything about the struggles of the African American male, female, for sure. I do not. And I say that even growing up in I was the only white person in my neighborhood, and like
Hmm.
one of the only, well, I say white person, but I'm half Mexican, but like I just look Caucasian, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
at face value, like I still like probably have benefited from white privilege in my life, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
because of the way I look, but they don't know I'm undercover Mexican, you know what I mean? I'm trying to,
Yeah.
you know, but
Yeah.
the what I'm gonna say is like there's a complex that's being built, and that could be a platform to like, hey, like an identity struggle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
An internal
Absolutely.
identity struggle because you always have to like prove yourself.
Yes.
And me, I don't know what that's like from a African American point of view, but I do
Hmm.
know from my point of view as being
Right.
half Mexican, my full name is Ricardo Manuel Mena the third. You know what I'm saying? My
Hmm.
family's from Mexico. I'm only second generation United States.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so my grandparents were like not even born in America. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. That's
and not
crazy.
only that, but on my mom's side, it was like my grandparents were from Portugal. So they're
Wow.
Portuguese. So yeah, they just look white. So,
Yeah.
I'm Spanish and Mexican, but I look white, which is fine. But what I'm saying is when I used to work for the city of Pittsburgh and I used to do landscaping, or even in school, like a lot of the full-blooded Mexican folks around me would joke and say they would call me Wedo, which means white.
Right.
And
Right.
so they would be like, "You're not Mexican. You're not Mexican." To the point where I actually had to pull out my ID and be like, and I'll get pissed because why are you
Absolutely.
saying that? Like,
Absolutely.
why would I lie? You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, and so for a lot of my life, it has been that. And from my point of view, there's been a lot of like, I feel like I had to prove myself all the damn time, you know. Um,
Hmm.
and so that's just from my point of view. But like,
Yeah.
I think it definitely, it builds a complex. It built a complex within me as far as like, but I think your kids might have it a little tougher because like if you look at me, you wouldn't even know I'm mixed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 For sure. For sure.
Your kids, if they're mixed with black and white,
Yeah.
yeah. So you can definitely, at face value, that's the difference. Face value, that society is going to be able to see that, right?
Hmm.
And so it's going to be harder in the way of like that complex being built, kind of like gaining momentum within your kids and the way their way of thinking.
Hmm.
And that can have some like negative, it can cause some negative like internalized like battles, because you'll go back and forth from like, I don't got to prove myself, and so you come off as more aggressive, you know what I mean, like.
Yeah.
And then not only that, and correct me if I'm wrong, man, because like I said, majority of my friends are black. Straight up,
Hmm.
bro. Like majority of my friends are black.
Yeah.
And so there's a conflict, I feel, also within the African American community with black and light skin black.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to speak on that because like I'm just saying from observational standpoint.
Yeah.
And so there's a struggle within your own community too, you know, and there's that for your kids too, if that's actually a thing, or I'm just wrong in my observation. But you know, I wouldn't say it causes mental illness, but what I will say is that the studies do show, to more specifically answer your question, the studies do show, because African Americans are a minority and a large part of the minority group, and folks from neighborhoods that are more minority neighborhoods, the hood, the ghetto, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
um, are more predisposed to having, being diagnosed with mental illness. The studies have been done. It's because there's more like domestic violence there. There's less help. There's less help. There's less money in the neighborhoods where we come from. There's there's a liquor store on every corner. You know what I'm saying? It's just built
Yeah.
different, and it's like it's and that's I think that's what like um well, I know that's what African Americans and minority groups are fighting for, is more of like equality, as far as like, even on from a government standpoint, the help that you get
Yeah.
in certain neighborhoods and stuff like that. So there's a lot there in that
It's a
response, but
whole lot. It's a
yeah,
whole
it's a
lot.
lot because it's a complex issue. And again, I hope I didn't offend anyone. Like I hope I didn't offend you by saying anything.
No, you
Um,
good. You good.
Yeah,
Trust
because like
me.
if I'm wrong, correct me, please. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because as far as like the African American experience, I don't know, and I'm just an observer. Who like
Yeah.
legit cares. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
legit
I mean,
cares.
for
Like
me, I'm going to just speak my words because I can't speak for anyone else. Whether they were born in 2023 or they born in 1823, I can only speak about what's been going on since '77 to now. Like,
yeah,
I mean, everybody can say whatever they want, and they
yeah,
can uh, quote all the history in the world about
yeah,
blacks, whites, you
yeah.
know, Puerto Ricans, whatever it is. But
Right.
like, I can only speak on my truth and my experience, and for me, like, even in my world,
Hmm.
being a black man born and raised here in Washington State, completely diverse part of town. Even though I was born on the hilltop where it's predominantly, blacks and African Americans, you got some areas where there are some Mexicans, and then you have an area where there's some, Asians. Majority of it is blacks, but the schools that I went to were all diverse.
Hmm.
That's all I've ever experienced in my time on this earth. I mean, yeah, you can read up on all these things where blacks were in the cotton field and whites were in control, and all this and that, but that's not today. I mean, that's not in today's society. Like, to me, I think a lot of us get so sold on everything that went on before,
Hmm.
that we can't create a better environment if we don't see what's going on today and fix what's going on today. Like,
Yeah.
everybody just wants to focus on the past. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not that guy. Like, truth be told, like, yeah, I've been a black my whole life, and I've been disrespected by more black people than white people.
Okay.
And that's just keeping it 100, you
Yeah.
know? And
That's why I was
and
asking you, because like, like I said, most of I got family who is black. Like we're not blood, but bro,
right,
you know what I
right.
mean? But like I see that, and I just gotta keep my mouth shut, honestly, because it's not really my place to speak when I'm in hanging with my friends or my family, and there's a dispute, and I don't
Yeah,
understand it, because it's
yeah,
not for me to really to speak on or really understand. It's not my
right.
struggle. You know what I mean? But
Yeah. And I mean, I know
yeah,
we're kind of a little bit off into a different realm of the conversation, but it
but
is
it's
something that
important though.
is it's been on my mind, like, in every time it gets close to this time of the year, it's always
Mm,
something that kind of overwhelms me, because I I want to be I want to understand each side of Black History Month, and how I can be, an important asset to it. Also, I want to be an important asset to my children, not just because of their Black side, but to their white side as well. You know what I'm saying? Because I
mhm.
think it's important for them to be accepted
Yeah,
wherever they're at in the world, regardless of the color of their skin.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
It's yeah,
this is such a, to me, like, I know this conversation is supposed to be about mental health and mental illness, but I think for me personally, it has been something that has affected me,
yeah,
mentally. and I'm not going to lie and say it hasn't, because it truly has. It's like, all these people claim Black power, and I go to the church, it's all about Black, but you see a white person and then you frown down on them. As a person that goes to church every Sunday, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
There's
tough conversation, man. Like,
yeah, and that happens in the white community too.
yeah,
I've been to both churches, man. Like, you know what I mean, and they're different. I'll tell you that
mhm,
right now. They're
yeah,
different, and so
yeah,
I've been to three different churches, like the one where Catholicism. It's very like
yeah,
um, and it's like, you better not get up and say nothing, and then
yeah, yeah,
like. Then you got
yeah,
the rock band at the more Christian white churches, I guess you could say. And it's
yeah.
like they're all kind of everybody looks like they're in an Old Navy commercial or something, and then
Right.
and
Yeah,
then I've been to I've been to churches with Samoan and Tongans, and I've been to church
right.
with Black folks, and they're all different, but every like you said, you hit it right on the head. It's like you wonder, like, why is that? Okay, what if a white person walks in, you kind of see that, or a Black person walks in over here, you kind of, and it's like, but then you go on, like, you watch TV or you're on the social media, and you're like, all you see is acceptance and people pushing this, but in society, you're like, and it 100% has to do with what we're talking about as far as mental illness.
Hmm.
Because as I was just saying, the study of sociology, right, is the study of society and human behavior within it, and trying to explain it, right, and why people
Yeah.
group up and why certain things happen, the cause and effect. Now, if you take the sociological approach to the mental state of each individual person,
Hmm.
it's the cause and effect of, like, your atmosphere, what you experience. Every experience that you have in your life is going to have a cause, is a cause and effect. It's going to have an effect
Yeah.
on your mind. And
Yeah.
that's what's crazy, is that it wasn't until I started battling mental illness that I realized how incredibly powerful our minds are.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
wasn't until my mind turned its back on me and said,
Mm.
let's fight. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what? And
Yeah.
so I got to
Crazy.
respect it, And so I totally think that you have such a valid question, because, like I said, there's been studies on it. So it's not like you're the first person to ask. There's been studies on it. Like, it's kind of like African Americans are actually more predisposed to heart disease as well.
Yeah.
Why is that? Is it, and I haven't looked at that specific, but is it because of the culture? Is it the culture, or is it where most minorities live? You got to look
Is
at
it the
that.
food they eat?
Yeah, the food.
You
I
know.
mean, because culturally, there's foods that all cultures just kind of stick to. Like my Mexican culture, like, is bad for my veganism, is bad for my gluten. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it's tortillas. It's mostly
Beans and
grilled
rice.
chicken tortillas. Yeah, it's like uh peppers and shit like that. Oh, excuse
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
language,
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. And from being around when I was hanging with my brother Daryl a lot before he passed. I mean, he loved pork sandwiches. He
Yep.
was African American. He loved pork sandwiches. It was, I'm not trying to, it's fried, a lot of fried foods,
Yeah. Yeah.
and a lot of candy and Arizona iced teas, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, just, and I love
Yeah.
all that stuff too. So,
Right. 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 Yeah.
but, at his house, it was like, kind of more like 5 days a week, as
Hmm.
opposed to like my house growing up. It was like a mix between Mexican food and my mom's white cooking food, which is, I don't know,
Yeah.
chicken and
Yeah.
dumplings,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. And
Yep.
so, it's like, I think it would be interesting to take a look at the study, though. After we get off here, if anyone wants to know and has the same question as you, which now I'm interested to know. But I'm pretty sure, because I've studied this before, and I think I've seen the study. I just got to see what the findings are. That
Yeah.
minorities are more predisposed to being diagnosed at some point in their life with mental illness of some kind because of what you experience in more like, I guess, poverty-stricken neighborhoods.
Hmm.
Because in those neighborhoods, it's just like whether it's Mexican neighborhoods, Chinese neighborhoods, black neighborhoods, there's just going to be more crime. There's going to be
Yeah.
more domestic disputes. There's going to be more like issues within the home, things like that. Um, so
Yeah.
I do think that mental illness can be, predisposed to more like a specific group of race just naturally. But then when you
Hmm.
get out into the real world, you and I both know, like you're wearing that shirt and it has dog tags on it. So like if you're a soldier, regardless of what color you are, and you go to war, you know what I'm saying? Or,
Hmm.
you know, you have a traumatic experience in battle or whatever the case may be, regardless of what skin tone you are, you're as a soldier, you're more predisposed. You have more a chance of experiencing mental illness such as
Yeah.
PTSD,
Yeah.
or a fireman, or a paramedic or EMT, or
Hmm.
let's just put it out there, vets, veterinarian, like people who work on pets, they actually have one of the highest suicide rates.
Really?
Yeah, it's because they have to put so many animals down, and they're
Oh
truly
gosh,
empathetic to animals,
that makes sense. Wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
And what's crazy too is I don't know this one, but what's also on the top of the list as well is dentists.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's weird.
and I don't know why, but
That's interesting.
it would be, I'm so interested in this, and this is why I'm going to school I want to study like abnormal psychology. And the reason, what do the numbers say on this, and statistics show with this, and why, for these job types or race or
Yeah.
age. Just to throw another statistic out there, the age group of men who commit suicide more is actually outside of a age range that I ever thought. It's actually like, I want to say, up in the 70s,
Hmm.
70s to
Wow.
80s. More
Wow.
men in their 70 to 80s are killing themselves in that group of suicide numbers than any other age group in men. And it's just that is crazy to me, because it's like, I would think like once you're 70 or 80, you're like, I made it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? F everything.
Right.
But mental illness, like I said, is a complex, it's finicky in every person. It's so difficult. That's why it's like, just like all of our DNA is different,
Yeah.
it's whatever's good for us, and whatever works for us, whatever's bad for us, will all be different. But definitely, man, like, working with children. I'm not a father, but I've worked with like over 15,000 children on a one person to person basis, and having real private conversations about real life stuff, and
Yeah.
death, and what heaven, and or being bullied, or kids who almost have, or teens who've almost committed suicide, and did what wasn't
Mhm.
successful. I've been there, and one thing I would say is that, just, and I'm sure you're doing this already, and anyone who's listening, like, just having that open conversation with your kids, like, honestly, like, hey, do you ever feel like, when you go out into the world, or at home at all, or when you're on social media, do you ever feel like that you ever have to prove yourself because of your color, or because of your race, or because of your mix, or do you ever feel like that's an issue for you in your life at all? You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Right.
and if it is, like, tell me what's up.
Right.
Tell me what's going on. Let me help you out with that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. So, hey, real quick, I don't mean to cut you off, but if you want to just explain, we got a few people coming in. What's up, guys? Thank you guys for showing up a
what's
little bit.
up?
We're still talking mental illness, but I asked him a question, and we were just getting into
Getting into it.
Getting pretty deep into it. We're talking about, do you experience mental illness through your race? You know, as a black man, I said yes. I've dealt with it from my own race more than any other race. I don't know how you guys will feel. If you guys have an answer, go ahead and answer it out. We was just jumping into it, and you guys came right on time as we was digging in deep on it.
Yeah.
Um, we have about 10 minutes left. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change the conversation and go into our main focus, which was we're going to talk a little bit about PTSD. So
Okay.
if any of you out there would like to conversate on PTSD in your own lives, or if you guys have a question for myself or Ricky, please go ahead and throw it out to us while we're still here. And we will answer it while we're live. If we have to go, then we will answer it, in the comments. But yeah, PTSD. Tell us a little bit about it in your life. I could go ahead. Let me give a definition real quick before we move forward, just so you guys can get an idea. Well, I'll just tell you some of the symptoms of PTSD real quick. Like a traumatic event. We were already talking about that. Traumatic events,
Yeah.
re-experience, avoidance, upsetting beliefs and emotions, um, fear, inability to bounce back from a perceived situation, inability to trust others, impulsivity, lack of cause and effect thinking, lack of remorse. These are just some symptoms, you guys. Lack of remorse and empathy, shutting down, daydreaming, hypovigilance, and overreacting to situations. I see. Depression and constant anger. Those are just some symptoms for you guys. Um, I could talk about mine if you would like, or you could talk about yours. What you want to do?
I feel like I've been talking a lot, man. I wanna hear the man's voice. I wanna hear your voice. Let's hear it.
Well, truth be told, I mean, we've talked a little bit about some of the symptoms of PTSD and some of the ways that I've been through it. Obviously, my father was in the military, and I seen him leave and I seen him come back. I seen him come back and then and leave again for a
Mm,
different reason. Doing the military thing. He was gone a lot. Obviously, when I was young. And then when he did finally come home, he came home because he got, kicked out of the military. Not necessarily kicked out, but, he got medically discharged from going to war and dealing with obviously what we're talking about, PTSD. And my dad used drinking to deal with it. And when he used to drink, he used to be aggressive and abusive and used to put his hands on all of us. Nobody was
mhm.
exempt. Everybody got hit at some point during my time as a young guy. Then my dad went to jail, and my mom still loved him. So she went hours, away on a Greyhound bus to visit him in prison. And, like for me, I was confused. I thought it was a cool thing to see my dad in prison. And, as a young person, you don't really get it. You don't
Yeah.
understand, the whole, idea of why are you here? Well, my dad is in prison because he almost killed somebody at a bar where he was out drinking. Somebody got lippy with him, and he almost took somebody's life at a bar, and so that's why he was in prison.
Yeah.
And so we visit him pretty much every other month. My mom would save up her money to go and visit him. Once he finally got out after years, he went back to the same person. And it was really weird for me because I love my dad, but he was Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde a lot of times. You
Yeah.
know, those good days he'd take us fishing, teach us how to fish, try and get us under the cars to teach us how to fix cars. And, me and my dad always played dominoes for hours on end.
Mhm.
But then those nights would come and he would go out and get drunk and be a totally different person.
Yeah.
Um, and for me, I think I've dealt with these feelings of why? Why
Mhm.
me? I love this guy to death, but why is he putting his hands on me? Why is he trying to hurt me? Why is he hitting my mom or my brothers or doing all these things? And so me growing up, I've been hiding these thoughts for a very long time, and eventually I got to a place where they started to um, I guess, get to the surface of who I was, and I started to see myself being my dad, and being aggressive and when the way that I raised my kids and the way
Mhm.
that I talk to them and
Mhm.
how I discipline them, and so like for me it's been something that's been ongoing. I've been dealing with it by talking a lot about it, but it's real, and
Yeah.
it and it comes, and to me, in my life it comes and goes a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I go weeks with nothing, but everything seems to be going pretty smooth, and then I'll have my son and he'll do something, and then I'll see my dad come out.
Yeah.
I'm saying the same things that he was doing to us as kids. I see myself kind of snapping at him, and then I have to, back up and be like, whoa, 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 that's not you.
Yeah.
Um, so I've been dealing with it and just trying to find better ways of handling those type of situations when I feel myself kind of leaning towards, doing something that
Yeah.
kind of brings it out. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so for me, it's been interesting, but it's been a struggle. Like it's been a daily struggle. Like
Yeah.
we've talked about.
And
It's always
that's
going to be.
important that you said that. The fact that you said it's a daily struggle, right?
Hmm.
There's no, like, the worst thing you could ever do as someone who's trying to help someone with mental illness is give false hope, right? And
Yeah,
so, because they'd be working at something that's not attainable. What's not attainable, and this was very hard for me to hear when I first started going through this, but
yeah,
you're not gonna you're not gonna cure yourself. You are
right.
not going to cure yourself. What you can do is manage it so good that, like you said, you have 2 weeks sometimes, right? That you're
Yeah,
good. And it's like, so you can get to 3 weeks, you can get to a month, you can get to a couple months, and you'd be like, well, I forgot that, and then but you have to know that, like, it will creep back in, because
yeah.
in life, when you get beat up by life, and one thing, comes in threes or fours or sixes, or financially and emotionally and
Oh yeah,
physically, because your back got hurt, or your big toe got stomped by out, somebody on the dance floor, I don't know, and now you can't
yeah,
work out. But it's
yeah,
like, all these things happen, it'll come back, and the key is, when you have those 2 weeks, you have that 3 weeks of just like feeling so good. The key is to not don't wait until you start feeling it again, that aggressiveness, or that you start feeling that darkness come back. Don't wait till then to work on it. Work on it even when you feel good. Like,
yeah. That's true.
yeah, work on that.
True.
Work on those breathing techniques.
Hmm.
Just continue to, because when we feel good, we kind of have a tendency to be like, well, you know what? It's all good. I can eat this. I'm good.
Yeah,
I can do
yeah,
this. I'm good. I don't got to do
yep,
that. I'm good. And so, and then with that, it just kind of like makes it hard for, like, when that time comes and the PTSD
yeah,
or whatever mental illness comes back, and you're not practiced,
yeah.
that you know that it's just, you're not ready, you know.
Right,
And
right.
so, yeah, so what you said was powerful there. It's like, it's a daily
You know,
management.
you know. I I was and I'm so sorry I missed something. Lynn had said something earlier, and I don't know if she's still on, but I probably should. I apologize, Lynn. I didn't see your comment, but I think at some point we're gonna come back to this. What she said, because I know my side of dealing with mental illness as a black man, but she said she experiences it a lot as a white mother with black children. Like, I'd love to dive into that. I don't know if you're still on. She said she was at work and she just wanted to come in and say hello. If you're still on, hit me up and let me know. I really would love to dive into it and kind of get your thoughts on that. But yes, back to PTSD and dealing with it. Slow progress is still progress. I love that. Joey, what's up, man? Thank you for tuning in, brother. Um, I
Yeah,
mean, it's truth. It's the truth.
yeah. And that's
It's
the
like you
thing. It's
said.
like it doesn't. Joseph knows probably like when you've been through it, it's like slow progress is progress. In the moment, it's hard to see that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When you're in the
Hmm.
middle of it all, it's very hard to see that. One thing I will say, it's good to surround yourself with people who can positively impact you, because even myself, I could say that all day, like, oh, slow progress is progress, and I recognize that. But when I'm in the thick of it, it takes sometimes my wife to be like, babe, you're doing good.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
this, this, and this. Stop being so hard on
Yeah.
yourself. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's
Absolutely.
good to surround yourself with the right people too.
Absolutely. And I've been really trying to, when it comes to those moments, and when that stress starts to elevate, and I start to have those thoughts. I've really been trying to reach reach out, talk to people. What I'm
Yeah,
saying? Sometimes you don't necessarily have to say it, but at sometimes you do. I mean,
hmm,
sometimes you just need to have some just say, "Hey, I'm having a moment, and I really could use, you know, somebody to talk to."
yeah,
And I've been trying to really focus on being aware of the things that have continued to cause those elevations. You know what I'm saying? I don't s- last year was a kind of, like I said before, it was a really rough year, and I had multiple times where I wanted to just be done with it all. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And so this year I just want to really focus on um, not thinking like that anymore, and
yeah,
finding ways to beat it before it gets to that position. So
yeah,
um, like I said, I've been reaching out to everybody. If nothing else, I
yeah,
got this phone next to me. I'll text you in a heartbeat.
yeah,
If I'm texting you at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, I apologize, but it's
yeah,
sometimes that's when it's the worst.
yeah,
Sometimes it's when you're by yourself, because I there's nobody here with me during the week. David's
yeah,
solo dolo. I come
yeah.
home and I'm by myself. And those are usually moments when,
You,
like, I start thinking about, oh man, I wish I had somebody here with me. Oh, I wish somebody loved me. And oh, I'm all
yeah.
alone. Nobody
You know,
loves me. And
you
then
know what you
it just
need, bro.
continues to elevate. You know
You
what I'm
need a
saying?
cat. You need a cat.
I, hey, bro, like, I've never, and I think I may have told you this before, but I've never had a dog. I never had a cat. Never had a pet.
Yeah,
They came with girlfriends, but I've never had
yeah.
one myself.
I
Like,
will
growing
say
up, we never
this.
had one.
I
What?
have two. I have five cats, bro. And some people they're gonna be like, "Damn, that's crazy." But we have three special needs cats that no one else wanted. So like we basically rescued them from being
Oh
killed.
wow,
So, and it was the
that's
best
cool.
decision I ever made. But I've had dogs. I've had cats. I used to be strictly a dog person. I didn't like cats until I met my wife, and I got the chance to understand cats. And they're just lower maintenance as far as like
Yeah.
as far as like battling mental illness. For me, like the fact that they're lower maintenance helps me, but it's different for everyone. But I will
Mm,
say, like, if you're alone and you feel like, man, just, it's harder when I'm alone, a
mhm.
pet of some kind will help you, whether it's a lizard, a fish, a cat, a dog, I highly advocate for that, man. And so, and if you're a renter and you're like, oh, it's hard to move with a pet because they don't allow us in, if you
Mhm.
register your animal as an ESA animal, which is not that expensive, then a therapy animal, then they can't charge you for that.
Interesting. All right.
So
ESA animal, huh?
yeah, cats are healers, Joseph, bro. I got 5 cats, and they are my children. I will kill and die for them. I'm not. I swear, bro. I swear, I love my cats, and I'll tell you. Let me just tell you their names real quick, because look, I got all the tattoos, and everybody sees me like this tough
Oh, you
guy.
got them tatted on you too?
No, actually, but here I got this. It's hard to see, but the semicolon,
Okay, yep.
right
I see
there.
it.
Okay, so it's a cat head on
Oh,
the top of the
snap.
semicolon, because they're my reason for continuing.
Yeah, that's tight
Besides
though.
my wife,
Okay.
and so,
That's good
but
advice though. That's great advice because like I said, I've never had a pet. It's never been my thing. Like
bro, if you get a cat, you gotta let me help you pick it, bro. I would love to be a part of that. And let me help you name it, because my 5 cats, real quick. I know we got to wrap this up, but my
yeah.
5 cats are Marbles, Coffee, Logan, and then Bellatrix and Puddin'.
What names? I think you told me about marbles like once before. I think you might have
Yeah,
said
she's
something
over
about
here.
marbles.
Look, I don't want to. My wife's got her crochet stuff. She covers her crochet stuff with a blanket, but she's sleeping right there.
Oh, there she is.
Marbles.
Marbles has made an entrance.
She's like, Dad, no.
Just lounging.
Sleeping, bro.
That's
But they're the
awesome.
best.
All right. Well, hey, man, I may have to look into that for sure. For sure. I may have
Low
to look
maintenance
into it.
cats, bro. Low maintenance.
Well, hey, guys, we're going to go ahead and close up shop. It's 1:08. We're a little bit after hours. But thank you guys so much for being a part of our mental health check for February. We will be back next month for more discussion. Please make sure you share this out. If you know someone that's going through it, don't hesitate to reach out and, stay connected. You know what I'm saying? There's so many people nowadays that we continue to see, taking their lives because they feel like they're alone. You're not alone. If you're here listening to us, then you got us brothers here. You can hit us up anytime. We're going to be available for any type of conversation, especially when you're going through those dark moments. That's why we're here. That's why we're going to continue to do this, because we want to see people do better, and fight through those hardships. So thank you guys so much for being here. Anything you want to say to the people?
No, just thank you guys so much for being here. I see all the comments. Joseph, no problem, man. No problem.
Absolutely. We'll be back next month, March, the beginning of March. We'll be doing it again. Like I said, if you guys have any questions offline, just hit us in our inboxes or hit us on the live feed, and we'll comment it once we see them. All right. Y'all have a blessed rest of your day. We'll see you guys. Peace.